and welcome to this special broadcast coming from straight from CNBC-TV18. We're coming to you from the national capital. This is Future Female Forward, the second season of Future Female Forward, a women's elective. What is this entire conversation about? Well, we've been doing it for about a year now. We've been trying to build conversations about gender parity. It's no longer about tokenism. It's no longer about token messages being sent out. It's about being action taken on the ground. What we're trying to do here, of course, we're trying to reach out to women who've achieved exceptional success in their respective fields. We're trying to do that to be able to inspire conversations as to where we can go from here, where we're going wrong, what needs to be done. We're trying to have that conversation. We're trying to, in fact, build more energy into this conversation. And joining me to, in fact, take this discussion forward on the red carpet of Future Female Forward, a women's collective, are my colleagues Shivani as well as Aishwarya. Guys, it's been exciting. We've been here since the afternoon. We're meeting a lot of people. Give us a sense of what are your big takeaways. Give us a mood check.
Well, Ashmit, you were absolutely right when you said it's no more about tokenism, it's about action. And as we saw, this year's Republic Day parade saw the first women contingent walk on the Vijay Chowk, and we had one of the players, one of the Delhi police officials with us, who's 56 years old, and she actually walked with the heaviest instrument available on that parade, and she told us that there were 10,14,000 girls that she has trained in self-defense. That is just remarkable success, and I think she's still doing it. She's still continuing to inspire people. We spoke about what she's inspired from, and not just from police to business. We're expecting Roshni Nadar here. We're expecting Ravneet Kaur, who's the chairperson of the Competition Commission of India, and also from the startup ecosystem. My colleague Aishwarya will tell you about how there are so many startup voices today here at the Future Female Forward. Aishwarya.
Absolutely. We are awaiting the arrival of Ghazal Alag. Mama just went public. It's a huge company that she has built. It'll be very interesting to get some takeaways that, how her entire journey has been, the struggles that she has gone through being an entrepreneur. And what's interesting is it's not just the startup founders or the biggies that we're talking about. We also have some great Instagram influencers today. I just spoke to this this storyteller. This woman, her name is Vanika, and she's a storyteller. And one of the biggest things that she said, that in the age of social media today, I asked her this question, that what do you need to be relevant? What does it take to be relevant? And her answer was that we are so caught up with the idea of being relevant that we forget about the other things that we are getting out of it. We need to take it out of our head, and great inspiration to young kids who want to come up. They want to talk about all of this. So yes, the atmosphere is just amazing right now. So many voices that we're hearing, and we also have a guest coming in. So I'm giving it to Ashmit right now to take it forward.
I think before we go to our guest, one question that you have to ask Ghazal Alag is how she keeps her social media handle buzzing all the time. I think that's one tip I want to walk away with this evening. But coming back to the serious conversations, joining me now, in fact, we told you that we'll be talking to women achievers, women who've scaled peaks that have been unprecedented, and why that's reason for inspiration. And in fact, joining me for that very conversation is with me Miss Bharti Devi. She is the youngest Sarpanch as far as administration is concerned. So that's phenomenal, coming, of course, breaking those barriers. Miss Devi, thank you so much for joining us.
Namaste, thank you.
नमस्ते. आप आज यहाँ पे आए हैं. यहाँ पे पहले आप डिस्क्राइब करें कि यहाँ पे आप काफी सारे विमेन अचीवर्स के साथ हैं. आपको लग रहा है कि ये कॉन्वर्सेशंस जो पहले कुछ साल पहले होती थी, उसका रिजल्ट अभी हमें देखने को मिल रहा है?
हाँ, ये तो बहुत अच्छा बात है कि न्यूज 18 आज जो महिला भारत का जो कोने कोने में गांव में छुपा हुआ था, उनका पावर को इधर दिखा रहे हैं. और ये परंपरा संस्कृति का भारत है, जहाँ महिला को सम्मान दिया जाता है. वहाँ पे भगवान जी भ्रमण करते हैं, ये वेदों में लिखा हुआ है. आज मैं बहुत खुशी हूँ कि इतना सारे महिला को आज इधर सम्मान दिया जा रहा है. और मैं उड़ीसा प्रदेश से आई हूँ, और वो जगन्नाथ धाम पुरी से आई हूँ. मैं खुद को धन्य मन करती हूँ कि आज इतना बड़ा सम्मान में मुझे आप दे रहे हैं.
मिस देवी, एक सवाल जो मैं पूछना चाहूंगा कि जो रोल आप अभी परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं एक सरपंच का, काफी बार जब सरपंच की एक बात की जाती है तो नॉर्मली एसोसिएट किया जाता है कि एक मेल होगा, एक आदमी ही होगा. कितना मुश्किल था आपको अपने एरिया में, अपने लोकेलिटी में इस स्टीरियोटाइप को तोड़ना कि नहीं, मैं भी एज एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर मैं सरपंच का काम कर सकती हूँ और ना सिर्फ कर सकती हूँ पर हो सकता है बेहतर भी कर सकूँ?
Everything is possible because when I was investment officer, that time I resigned my job and joining social work. So many people think that she is a young lady और क्या कर सकती है गांव में आकर शहर से। मैं उस टाइम भारत का सबसे छोटी सरपंच थी और मैं जो काम की हूँ मेरा गांव से बर्न माई पंचायत, implement our nation, implement our state. I started the first women gram sabha in my panchayat. Beti padhao. This is my concept. It create my panchayat people said my 750 women को लेकर मैंने जो शुरुआत की नारी शिक्षा का टिप्पणी है दस्तखत, नो थंब इम्प्रेशन ओनली सिग्नेचर। मुझे भारत का सबसे छोटी सरपंच और आदर्श सरपंच का जो अवार्ड दिया जा रहा था, उस टाइम मुझे 2 मिनट बोलने का मौका मिला था भारत को। तो मैं सोची थी मेरे गांव में जो प्रॉब्लम है सारा भारत वर्ष में ये प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि भारत गांव का देश है। नारी शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य शिक्षा, रोजगार ये सबसे बड़ा चीज है। और अभी ओडिशा में एक बजट पास हुआ है, स्वतंत्र महिला बजट, जहां सारा भारत वर्ष में ये नहीं है। 14 फाइनेंस कमीशन बजट जब हो रहा था उड़ीसा में, इन बिहाफ ऑफ उड़ीसा पंचायत राज, आई रिप्रेजेंट ग्रासरूट पीपुल्स। सो भारत के लिए महिला का स्वतंत्र बजट होना चाहिए, वो मैंने लिख के दी थी। आज मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि उड़ीसा में वो लागू हो गया और महिला का स्वतंत्र बजट अभी सारा उड़ीसा में चर्चा है।
एक सवाल जो मैं पूछना चाहूंगा कि आपके इस जर्नी में आपने जो रोल अभी एज्यूम किया है एक सरपंच का, ऐसे कौन से इश्यूज हैं जो पहले एड्रेस नहीं हो रहे थे लेकिन एज अ फीमेल सरपंच, यंगेस्ट फीमेल सरपंच, आप उन इश्यूज को मीट कर पा रहे हैं, एड्रेस कर पा रहे हैं? आपने बताया स्वतंत्र विमेन बजट, महिला बजट एक स्टेप था, ऐसे और कौन से एक्शन थे एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव लेवल पे जो आप अपने आप को लेते हुए दिख रहे हैं?
मैं जब सरपंच बनी थी तब गांव में पंचायत में जब बैठी थी, महिला लोग कोई नहीं आ रहे थे पंचायत को, सिर्फ ही कंट्रैक्टर लोग, पॉलिटिशियन लोग सब आ रहे थे। तो मैं सोची कि मैं तो एक महिला ही हूँ, क्यों महिला लोग क्यों नहीं आ रहे। तो आई स्टार्टेड द फर्स्ट वुमेन ग्राम सभा इन माई पंचायत, इम्प्लीमेंट आवर स्टेट, अदर स्टेट ऑल्सो। एंड जो जब भी आज आप भारत में राशन कार्ड देख रहे हैं, इट बॉर्न माई पंचायत पर हेड 5 किलो, क्योंकि जब बीपीएल का आधार से चावल राशन सब आ रहा था, गांव का जेनरेशन बढ़ गया था, उसी हिसाब से हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर नहीं कर पा रहे थे। तो अपना पंचायत की ग्राम सभा के माध्यम से हमने एक रेजुलेशन पास किए थे पंचायत में, और वो पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी भारत सरकार का हमारा गांव गए थे, देखे इट इम्प्लीमेंट आवर नेशन, इट्स रियल। आई एम हैप्पी व्हेन आई सी दैट बेटी पढ़ाओ। 750 वुमेन को मैंने स्टार्ट की थी मेरे पंचायत में पढ़ना सीखना और अपना लोकल लैंग्वेज में थोड़ा सा लिखना, और एसएच ग्रुप के माध्यम से उन लोग का स्वास्थ्य शिक्षा रोजगार का मैंने बार बार ट्रेनिंग दी थी। तो आज भारत वर्ष में ये महिला एम्पावरमेंट अभी एक आंदोलन में परिणत हो गया है, ये बहुत बड़ा खुशी का बात है।
Ms. Devi, thank you so much for joining us. आपकी स्टोरी इतनी इंस्पायरिंग है. We're hoping that you will, while you're the first, we're hoping that there are many more young sarpanch operating at the local administrative level. वहाँ पे there's a lot of change. But speaking of change, in fact, let me go across to my colleague Shivani. We're talking about women achievers. She has with her a women achiever who's achieved phenomenal success, a story that you need to know.
Well, investments, technology, businesses are not just anymore a man's thing. I'm joined by Nivritti Rai, who's the CEO and MD of Invest India and has spent a lot of years in technology as well. Nivritti, thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18 Future Female Forward, the Women's Collective. Nivritti, my first question to you is, there has been this stereotype that technology, investment, businesses and AI and tech is not for women. It's a man's thing. You have navigated this journey personally. Take us through it.
There has been a myth that, all of these things that you mentioned are the side of male's world. I really think the world is common and women and men are everywhere. And the way I have lived my life, Shivani, is I'll share with you, that totally defines me. अपना ज़माना हम आप बनाते हैं अहले दिल, हम वो कहाँ जिसे ज़माना बना गया.
Wow.
I make my own world. So what I think of myself, I am a strong, fearless woman, and I love it. You say future is made by the fearless female taking the world forward. I am one of them, and I'm fearless, and I have lived technology, I have built technology, and I now am part of Invest India. I've come to the other side of the world where, you know, beyond semiconductor, beyond technology, there's so many things to do. And the way I like to tell myself is I left a star, which was Intel, but I landed myself a galaxy, which is Invest India, because Invest India is going to drive the future of not just India, but of the world. So it's, you know, I like to say maximize India with maximum world, but I also want to maximize world with maximum India.
That's fantastic, Nivriti. And I would want to ask you one question. You are an inspiring figure for a lot of women who are looking and watching you right now. Tell me what inspires you. What has been inspiring you from a young age?
You know, I want to live a life of legacy. I want to see ROI in everything I do. I can do everything I want to. I make time. I make my life, I make time. So I enjoy technology, I enjoy mathematics, but I've never charted my future. I happened to come here because whatever I did with my heart and soul.
Okay, Nivriti, so the advice is that you do, whatever you love with your heart and soul. Yes. Is there any other piece of advice for women who still think that maybe tech is not for them, maybe investment is not for them, maybe business is not for them?
The only thing I can say is, you know, there are two things you have to tell yourself: what you think. Don't worry about what the others think. Tell yourself you are the best because you're putting the best. I really believe in, you know, trying to do your best. Don't worry about the result.
Okay.
If you do your best, you sleep peacefully and you enjoy life.
Okay, thank you so much, Nivriti, for that wonderful, wonderful advice. And now it's not ending here. I have my colleague Aishwarya joined by another wonderful guest. So, Aishwarya, up to you.
From the investing space to now speaking to another entrepreneur, I have with me Neha Kripal, who is the founder of Amaha, which is one of the leading mental health organizations in India. Neha, it's great to see you here. And, you know, I just want to understand that, you know, you worked in the space of art for 10 years and today you're leading a mental health organization. So tell me what led you to make that switch?
You know, sometimes it's always a journey of purpose that takes us to something that is really meaningful and true to our heart. I have a lot of mental illness in my family and we've seen a lot of personal losses, and I'm extremely passionate about building something that's accessible and scalable in this space. And a few years ago I joined my business partner Dr. Amit Malik, and now we reach about 600 cities and we are doing therapy in 18 languages. We did 1 lakh therapy sessions last year, so it's very fulfilling to do something meaningful, purposeful, and something that is personal to you.
Absolutely. You know, in general, it's been tough for women entrepreneurs to get that recognition, right? And especially when we talk about about mental health, it's today in the last 2 to 3 years that we are seeing that this conversation, especially post-pandemic, that the conversation has become more prominent. Did you face any initial hiccups when you were starting the business? What were some of the hurdles that you had to overcome?
I think the biggest thing is that, you know, we keep thinking that we are not ready to access mental health and there's a lot of stigma and lack of awareness, but COVID has normalized it in every home. Today, you know, we know it's a 1 in 4 problem with 200 million people suffering, but today it is in every home, whether it's domestic violence, abuse, digital addiction, relationships being strained, or any kind of mental illness. And mental health belongs to everybody. Mental illness is a challenge. So I think awareness is not a challenge. For us, really, the idea was to help people see that they can get quality, credible mental health care under one roof, so that they don't waste time going pillar to post, seeking that help. And so we've been able to stitch that together. We've convinced investors to work with us who see that vision, not just of working across conditions, but also across the lifespan. So we have a child and adolescent mental health organization called Children First, run by Dr. Shailja Sen, Dr. Amit Sen, and Kavita Arora, which is phenomenal for what they do. Kids as young as 3 months, all the way up to geriatric care, we're able to show them, give them support under one ecosystem of care.
That's wonderful to hear, and more power to you, Neha. You're doing an amazing work, but the conversation does not end here. I'm tossing back to Ashmit, who has another interesting guest with him.
Varya, thank you so much for that. Again, we're continuing this conversation. With me now is Captain Kulkarni. And I just learned seconds back that she's flying with Indigo right now. But before that, she was flying Antonov aircrafts with the Indian Air Force. So this story is quite inspiring. Let me first begin with that, the Air Force leg of the journey. This is a barrier that we've seen many women break more recently. Do you see that change? More women coming forward, wanting to participate, wanting to be pilots?
So see, I'll tell you something. When I joined back, it was probably 23 years, 25 years back when I joined Indian Air Force. So that was something which was my dream as a child. And literally it was a child which I pursued. I did not take the normal conventional fields of medicine and engineering, but I went into aviation because that is what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do to start with only in uniform. Basically serve our nation in that uniform. What I wanted, I achieved it. While I was in the final year of my graduation, I appeared for my SSB, got through it. I was the first women pilot from Vidarbha to get selected. And yes, to become pilot from that area I was the first one. So then thereafter my journey started, wonderful journey, what I wanted. Aviation was all that I had thought of and all that I had got. So of course the inspiration, if I would say inspiration was any and every person who was in uniform. I literally, as a crazy person, as a crazy child, as a crazy student, used to walk up to them and ask them, how do you clear the SSBs? I was very young in the school. I used to keep asking them questions, keep taking my gen from every possible books that were available, every knowledge that was available. And that's how I took. So by the time I was there in my graduation, I was fully prepared to appear for my interviews and I got through it.
Let me then ask you about one word of advice that perhaps keeps you motivated, keeps you driven. We've been speaking to many achievers and they tell us that there's this one key person or this one key moment which gave them a great deal of inspiration and confidence in terms of moving forward. What's that moment for you? What's that piece of advice for you?
Inspiration as self, I would say I think I'm self-motivated, honestly speaking. For the only reason is, I think, to serve the nation, I think all of us are doing that through some way or the other. But wearing that uniform and still serving the country, getting to do the aviation, then again they say that aviation is one of those hobbies where you get to pursue your hobby as your own career throughout your life. This is what has happened. And that is how I have gone about it. So inspiration, I would say I can draw inspiration from everyone. I can draw inspiration even from you. Every and any person around me, I can just take whatever is the best in you. And I'm so motivated with that. I'll keep improving on myself, keep working on myself and I'll keep going ahead.
What would you tell a younger version of yourself or rather younger women who are aspiring to be somebody like a Captain Kulkarni? What would you tell them? What would your advice be?
So yes, so I'll tell you, I left Air Force after 10 years of service. So 1.5 years of the training which was there. So total about 12 years of Indian Air Force that I was in. And in that, at that time, there was no permanent commission. Just see to it how beautifully our Indian Air Force has progressed now. There's a permanent commission. I wanted to join the fighter stream at that time. Women are there in flying fighter aircrafts. All the courses which were not available to women at that time, they're all there. And just see beautifully, I'm able to pursue that. Even now, there are these lovely companies, like right now I'm part of Indigo and I'm so proud, and it was such a conscious decision of mine after I finished off with my Air Force, after I finished with my 5 years of general aviation to only join Indigo. The reason was absolutely the same. Indigo follows the same thing, by the book, SOPs. It's such an organized company that I did not feel much of a difference whether I was under a government service serving the nation. Here I'm serving all of you. Now you are all my guests. My reach with all of you is so much more closer. I get to meet all of you. I get to greet all of you. I get to see the happy faces. I get to see the happy contented faces.
And I think with a market share of over 60%, you get to have that interface a lot more.
Yes.
Captain Kulkarni, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having this conversation. Before I let you go, one key question. Have you seen the movie Fighter? Is the Air Force life that glamorous?
No. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the movie Fighter. But what I get to hear from few pieces are nice, correct. But few will definitely be glamorized because it's something which I think the normal public also has to, it has to be gullible to a normal people. So if you go very strict way, the way forges, I think it's going to be very difficult for others to like it. You got to see the Hrithik Roshan with his abs, right?
Captain Kulkarni, we'll continue this conversation conversation. But before we do that, let me just toss across to my colleague Aishwarya. She has with her another women achiever. Aishwarya, tell us the story.
I have with me Ajayta Shah, who's the founder of Frontier Markets, that's going to the hinterland and empowering women there. And how she's doing it, that's exactly what we are here to find out today. Ajayta, you're running a huge network of women that's primarily the huge network of e-commerce, supply chain, and it's primarily being run by women. Tell me, how has the journey been for you? Like, was it tough to start the business? Were there some hiccups that you've encountered? Take us through that.
So, Ashwarya, as you know, first of all, hi everyone. It's been 20 years, and in a 20-year journey, I would say that we've gone from being a energy access company to a gender company to a tech company to now a women powerful platform. And it's been the most incredible journey because the biggest thing that we've learned in our journey is that rural markets in India are the biggest story in the future of life. 800 million people living in this country that have lack of access to services. And if you actually meet those demands, it's a big market, but it's also a big impact. Second is that women are ultimately at the center of all of this because they really are the ones that are craving to earn income, craving to influence, and craving to leverage their assets, which is trust, which is amazing to see on the ground. And then the third is bring it all together on tech. Everything changes because all of a sudden you become a commercial technology platform company that enables the future for the entire value chain. Today, 20,000 women entrepreneurs, 1 million families, 100 million solutions in ag tech, fintech, health tech, digital payments, you name it, has been an incredible journey for us to understand that if you have the vision of investing in women and understanding the power of women and just understanding the barriers to help them be more empowered, and you bring the right solutions in, everything changes.
You know, one of the key things that I wanted to understand from you is that when you go to the rural areas, when you're talking to these women, how do you assure them to come on board? How do you ensure that, what is the process that goes behind bringing them on board to your platform and making them financially very empowered?
So one thing I'm always really, and again, thank you Bharat, India and government, is that like in India today, we have an amazing infrastructure. We have this infrastructure of self-help groups, we have this infrastructure of NGOs and community that has actually helped 80 million women be seen on a system. And so for me, to access those women means partnering with those organizations. And the second I get access to them, because let's be honest, how do you go to 700,000 villages? How do you reach them on your own when you're nobody? You need partners, right? So reaching them through those partners allows me to at least see, hear, and understand who these women are. My biggest learning is very straightforward. It's not like we're offering something that is so brand new. These women are eager to earn money. They have been working haphazardly. They're like married at the age of 14 and have like 5 kids and they're now 35. What they want is an opportunity to have an income that is consistent where they live. And then when you bring them technology, when you bring them training and capacity building and opportunities to run a beauty parlor or run a kirana shop or run a assisted commerce store, they're going, I can do this where I live. I can do this for 3 hours. I can still earn 5,000 rupees every month consistently. I'm in. So it's not that hard. It's a matter of the design. And so we've been able to give women what they want.
They have been able to give women what they want. And now I'm tossing over to my colleague Shivani, who has another very interesting guest with her.
Well, thank you, Aishwarya. And you know how many people in India and around the world are the survivors of acid attacks. And right now, joining me right now is one acid attack survivor, but she's not just a survivor, she's a warrior, because she's now helping many women who go through this terrible time, and she's helping them with her NGO which has a shelter home also, which is called the अपना घर. Thank you so much मैम हमें यहाँ ज्वाइन करने के लिए. सबसे पहला मेरा सवाल जो आपसे है वो ये है कि इतना डिफ़िकल्ट होता है जब इतनी बड़ी चीज़, इतना बड़ा हादसा आपके साथ हो जाता है, आप अपने आप को ही संभाल नहीं पाते हैं. आपके पास ये इंस्पिरेशन कैसे आई कि मैं खुद भी खड़ी हूँ और जो मेरी तरह और लड़कियाँ हैं और महिलाएं हैं उनको सपोर्ट करूँ?
तो मेरे साथ अटैक साल 2009 में हुआ था. कई साल मैं भी डिप्रेशन में रही, बहुत मुश्किल था घर से बाहर निकलना, पर फिर फाइनली रियलाइज़ किया कि ऐसे तो ज़िंदगी नहीं चलेगी, कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा. तो मैंने साल 2013 से एसिड अटैक पर काम करना शुरू किया कि इसके जो सर्वाइवर्स हैं उनके रिलीफ एंड रिहैबिलिटेशन के लिए मैं काम करने लगी. और मैं कहूँ कि ये मोटिवेशन मुझ में कहाँ से आई, तो जहाँ मुझे लाइफ में कोई चीज़ खुशी नहीं दे रही थी, मुझे समझ नहीं आता था कि मैं क्या ऐसा करूँ कि जिससे मैं अच्छा फील करूं. क्योंकि एसिड अटैक होने के बाद एक तरीके से मैंने अपनी आइडेंटिटी खो दी थी और वो बहुत दुख था, कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत ज़ीरो हो गया था. लेकिन जब मैंने और सर्वाइवर्स के लिए काम करना शुरू किया तो मैंने खुद में एक बहुत अच्छा सेटिस्फेक्शन फील किया. मुझे ऐसे लगा कि उनको रिलीफ पहुंचाकर कहीं ना कहीं मैं खुद कुछ अचीव कर रही हूं. तो मुझे लगा कि मेरी ज़िंदगी का मकसद वो बन गया है और तब से मैंने एसिड अटैक सर्वाइवर्स के लिए काम करना शुरू कर दिया.
तो मैं बता भी नहीं सकती हूँ कि मैं कितना इंस्पायर्ड फील कर रही हूँ आपके साथ खड़े होके. आपने बताया कि आपकी इंस्पिरेशन क्या थी. किसी और के लिए काम करना आपको अपनी एक नई आइडेंटिटी देता है. मुझे थोड़ा सा और बताएंगे कि कितना डिफ़िकल्ट है एसिड अटैक विक्टिम्स के लिए, स्पेशली इंडिया में जहाँ लड़कियों के लिए ऑलरेडी इतनी सारी चीज़ें सोची जाती हैं. अगर वो ज़्यादा एम्बिशियस हैं तो उनको बोला जाता है कि नहीं होना चाहिए, कुछ काम है जो लड़कियां नहीं कर सकती हैं. एसिड अटैक के बाद उस डिप्रेशन में रह के लड़कियों को क्या फेस करना पड़ता है, थोड़ा उसके ऊपर हमें बताइए.
तो क्या है कि एसिड अटैक इज़ द मोस्ट हीनियस क्राइम, मतलब जो किसी लड़की के साथ होता है. और ये जेंडर बेस्ड वायलेंस है कि 95% ये लड़कियों के साथ होता है. और इसमें क्या होता है, चेहरा टारगेट होता है. क्योंकि किसी लड़की ने किसी को रिजेक्ट कर दिया, वो उसे पसंद नहीं करती थी, या डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस है, हस्बैंड ने किया है, तो इस तरह के केसेस मेजॉरिटी में होते हैं. और टारगेट जो होता है वो चेहरा होता है. तो जब चेहरे पर एसिड अटैक होता है तो आंखें ख़राब हो जाती हैं, कम्प्लीटली फेस डिसफिगर्ड हो जाता है, तो एक आइडेंटिटी छीन ली जाती है. तो वो बहुत ही मुश्किल भरा टाइम होता है क्योंकि फिज़िकल डैमेज इतने ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं कि मल्टीपल रिकन्स्ट्रक्टिव सर्जरीज़ होती हैं. उसके बाद भी रिकवरी बहुत मुश्किल होती है. फिर भी आपको वो चेहरा नहीं मिल पाता जो आपका था. तो और कॉन्फिडेंस ज़ीरो हो जाता है कि हम पहले ही एक लड़की के लिए ज़िंदगी मुश्किल होती है कंपैरेटिवली बॉयज़ के, और जहाँ उसका चेहरा छीन लिया, क्योंकि हमारी सोसाइटी ने आज भी एक टैबू बना रखा है कि चेहरा ही ब्यूटी है. तो अगर वही छीन लिया गया एक लड़की से, वो भी स्पेशली, तो उसकी ज़िंदगी तो बहुत मुश्किल भरी हो जाती है. तो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि बहुत ज़्यादा चैलेंजेस फेस करने पड़ते हैं. वो फाइनेंशियल भी होते हैं, वो आपके अपने खुद के होते हैं कि मेंटल ट्रॉमा इतना ज़्यादा हो जाता है, फाइनेंशियल बर्डन इतना ज़्यादा हो जाता है, सोसाइटी डिस्क्रिमिनेट करती है आपको, आप कहीं बाहर नहीं निकल पाते, आपका करियर ख़राब हो जाता है, आपकी एजुकेशन बीच में छूट जाती है, आपके जो रोमांटिक लाइफ हो सकती थी वो अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ चली जाती हैं. तो दोस्त, रिश्तेदार, घर परिवार सब साथ छोड़ देते हैं, तो अकेले रह जाते हैं इसमें. तो बड़ा मुश्किल होता है दोबारा खुद को गैदर करना, फिर से इकट्ठा करना, और मतलब जैसे कि कुछ बिखरे हुए को खुद से समेटना और फिर आगे बढ़ना बहुत मुश्किल भरा होता है. लेकिन फिर भी ये सर्वाइवर्स कर पाती हैं तो मैं उनको सैल्यूट करती हूँ.
बिल्कुल, और हम भी आपको सैल्यूट कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, क्योंकि सुनने में ही इतना मुश्किल लग रहा है और आपने ये हकीकत जी है, आप लोगों को हिम्मत दे रही हैं. सैल्यूट टू यू. शाहीन, मैं आपसे एक आखिरी सवाल पूछना चाहूँगी कि डिस्पाइट कि आपके साथ ऐसा कुछ हुआ हो या नहीं हुआ हो, क्या एडवाइस देना चाहती हैं जो यंग लड़कियां आपको देख रही हैं, जो देखती हैं, सोचती हैं कि सिर्फ आपके चेहरे से आपकी आइडेंटिटी होती है, कितना मुश्किल होता है उससे उभरना? एक एडवाइस जो आप लड़कियों को देना चाहती हैं क्या होगी आपकी तरफ?
मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी, तो पहले चेहरा ही सब कुछ नहीं होता आपके लिए. आप जो इंटरनल हो, क्योंकि ये जो आउटर ब्यूटी है तो डिज़ोल्व हो जाएगी कभी भी, लेकिन जो आप इंटरनली हो वो एक्चुअल में आप हो, वो जो रूह आपकी है, वो जो स्पिरिट है, वो आप हो. तो अपनी पहचान को सिर्फ आउटर ब्यूटी से ना जाने. दूसरा, अपने हक के लिए तो आवाज़ उठाएं ही, लेकिन साथ में दूसरों के हक के लिए लड़ें. डरें ना, क्योंकि उसे ही डराया जाता है जो डरता है। और एक शेर जो मैंने सुना था मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, हर रोज़ गिरकर भी मुकम्मल खड़े हैं, ए ज़िंदगी मेरे हौसले तुझसे भी बड़े हैं।
Wow, Shaheen, thank you so much for joining us. It was so inspiring to talk to Shaheen. But there's another very interesting guest which is right now with my colleague Ashmit. Ashmit, over to you.
Well, let's continue this conversation. With me is Dr. Subramaniam. She's with the Indian Institute of Astrophysics. We're literally talking rocket science here. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure speaking to you. This is not really the conventional fields of pursuit that we see a lot of young students, but you're telling me that from amongst your students, you see an even split of boys and girls chasing astrophysics. Give us a sense, break it down for our viewers. What does it mean as a woman to actually be pursuing such a field? What are the challenges that you face?
Yeah, so I'm Annapurni Subramaniam. I'm the director of Indian Institute of Astrophysics. Now, Indian Institute of Astrophysics is headquartered in Bangalore, but we have several field stations. The oldest field station is Kodaikanal Observatory, and that is in Kodaikanal. It is established in 1899. Now, we are celebrating its 125 years. Actually, it is functioning. Actually, and what we have been studying the sun and sun's images, etc. And now we have built the coronagraph, which is flying on the Aditya L1 mission, and it is ready for operation because the Aditya L1 mission has reached the L1, and then we are starting the operations of the instrument soon. So that is a journey for understanding the sun, but we also do nighttime astronomy, stars. So we have observatory near Vellore, which is in Kavalur, and also in Hanle. So these are our ground-based observatories. We also are participating in the 30-meter telescope project, where if you look at mirrors which you go from, you have small telescopes, lenses, but if you go to a bigger telescope, then you make mirrors, which is about 1 meter class or a few meter class. But then if you want to make it a 30-meter class size, then you can't make one single mirror of 30-meter size. It's too huge. So you break it up into segments.
My one quick question to you, that when we're talking about a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give yourself? We see more women coming forth. I went to ISRO, so many women there. The tide appears to be changing. What's inspiring this change?
When I started astrophysics, the data was candy, so I had to go to the observatory to do whatever they understand what is to be done, how it is to be done, etc. But now data is democratized, and much of the data is available over internet, and you have computer programs, and you have several missions giving you data, etc., etc. So data democratization has really helped, and also the fact that people, if you say astrophysics, if you have to understand, you need to dirty your hands with it. You have to talk to people, do something, take pictures, look at the pictures, analysis, etc. Now they are all possible because of data and software and internet. So many more people are interested. All students want to do. If I give talks somewhere, people will come and say, I want to do, how do I do?
Right, Mr. Subramaniam, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and an inspiring story at that. That, of course, was Ms. Subramanian. She's telling us about rocket science. But speaking of the stars, we're not short of them. We have so many stars here. We're just about to begin. We're moments away from the Future Female Forward, a women's collective, the second season. Let's go across.
And gentlemen, request you to please stand up for the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, request you all to kindly sit down and enjoy the performance. A big round of applause for the all-women Delhi Police Band.